All right, good morning. Friday, April 8th, 6:30, another Friday safety focus of the week. These weeks keep on turning. Welcome to quarter two. Maintain respectful behavior when one is working, driving a company vehicle, or wearing the company logo. You're always representing this company. It's a great code item for all of us to think about, maintain, and to act upon today, tomorrow, every week, every month, every year. Anything to add to that code item this weekend?
That all sounds good. I know I have to follow that all the time.
Yep. How we're doing this week on safety. Oh, good job, everybody. Another 7 days without a recordable injury. Day count's up to 137. Like I said last week, it's going to take all of us to collectively work together to focus on injuries prevention, but the way we do about that is doing a good risk assessment each and every day, identifying those hazards and setting up proper controls. And one of our biggest hazards that we have out here, and we're really ramping up as we're going to see in Ken's email, is we're really starting to have a good amount of force out there on our opening new projects, means new hazards, means getting the road work construction started. So we're going to be out there in the line of fire to vehicle traffic. So really wanted to highlight, especially going into the season, that we're really identifying our roadway work zone awareness, prevention, and struck by hazards. So here's a nice little image here that kind of shows, again, the hierarchy of controls, where we want to focus. The most effective way is to, eliminate and substitute, which is like detours, road closures. If we can set up a project like that, it's a whole lot safer than actually being in the line of fire with traffic. Secondary would be those engineering controls, such as using drawing a blank here. Jersey barriers, traffic control devices. Attenuator. Thank you, Phil. Appreciate that. Then administrative controls is our training and our awareness. Includes the use of procedures and scheduling work for our traffic volumes are lower. Setting up the right time to be out there in the line of fire, especially daytime versus nighttime. And then the last line of defense is that traffic control, that personal protective equipment, making sure we're visible, being seen out there on our road jobs. So some roadway risks to remember out there: worker fatalities in road construction sites over the last 2 years. This is worldwide. Is 259 people die last 2 years in the United States. And then it's about, that kind of comes down to about 2 every week. So it's a big exposure, and that's what we don't want to see out there. And a good rule of thumb also is to how fast cars can come off me, especially on the interstate, feet per second on oncoming vehicle. When an oncoming vehicle is traveling, it takes about you kind of take the speed limit and you multiply it by 1.5. So you got about 50 miles per hour. That equals about 75 feet per second. So, when you're out there setting up signs, or if you feel like you got to cross because we don't quite have the staging properly, and all of our vehicles and tools aren't quite inside the work zone yet, let's really make sure that we're not taking on unnecessary risks and walking across the interstate or walking across the road unless we only have to, but make sure we're always thinking about how fast cars can come on to us. So again, our best practices is we got to have a traffic control plan when we're out there. So let's have the plan, let's review it and understand. Let's make sure everybody participates in that, in the morning JHA, and addressing the traffic control plan. Clearly identify the struck by potential, what the live lane is versus the closed lane. Make sure everybody has aware that we always want to stay inside that closed lane as much as possible. Anytime that we have to be in that live lane, we have that struck by potential. Discuss access and egress, making sure that everybody knows how to properly get to and from our work zones. And that includes all of our truck drivers. Let's have good communication across all facets of what we do. Keep yourself and fellow coworkers inside the closed lane as much as possible. Avoid those blind spots be visible, and wear your personal protective equipment. So those are kind of our best practice, how to mitigate and control that struck by potential while working on inside the right of way of an interstate, or, say Williston Road, any other type of road construction that we're doing. Is there anything to add to that, Ken?
Yeah, I guess on the hierarchy there, I mean, we love to make a detour, close the road, make a detour, but we're not always given that option. When we are, we take advantage of it typically. So often we have to resort to the other, practices. So, and then the other thing that we've established as kind of a process when we're crossing an area, at least from a fixed point on an interstate, especially, is knowing that speed, travel speed, is to have a pre-established point where you look for vehicles like, oh, that vehicle is within that last signpost there, that marker. So then, like if it's 1,500 feet away, that you're safe. If it's beyond, because the travel time is adequate for crossing. But if it's closer, you wait until the opportunity allows for you to cross. So establish in the field a point where there's a vehicle crossing a point that's a certain distance, known distance from you, and get that established into the routine of crossing.
Yep. Good point, Ken.
Let's see, I'm going to switch to my window. Okay. Do you see my email?
We do.
Okay, skip down the page here. This guy out of the way. So for announcements coming up on April 25th and 26th, there'll be a Morgan Stanley meeting for all new 401k participants. Need to check with the accounting department to schedule a time. The sessions will be done by Zoom meetings. So we'll be setting up computers so that you can communicate and engage with this so-called like educator, I think they call them. They want to educate you on the options you have to select, because they don't want to really take responsibility for you selecting anything like a fund or anything like that, but they want to help give you the information to make decisions. So there's a lot of people who will be new participants, partly because we have, made the eligibility timeline more compressed so that people get involved and participate at an earlier time in their employment. So if you're new and you're expecting to be here like 3 months by now, if you're 3 months by the 1st of April, or probably, I think the first time you'd be enrolled would be the start of the next month or sometime during the month. So if you're close or you're at that point, check with the accounting department, because you'll want to get set up with your funds and everything involved with the 401k. And the other important thing there would be to have your beneficiaries identified. So if something happens to you, your heirs would have a clear indication of who those funds go to. That gets to be a problem if it happens that you get hurt, or you pass away, if you're at that age. And even if you're not at that age, don't think that it can never happen, because it does happen. And then suddenly people don't have the paperwork, and then all your survivors are fighting over the money that's in your fund. So it's something you need to get straightened out. Continuing to indicate to be aware of suspicious emails. I even had one from myself. It's like they can do anything, so be really cautious. Don't sign in, log into anything from an email. Do an independent way, check, make a phone call. So as we announced last week, we have another healthcare premium holiday this year. It's the 2nd year in a row, and we had we'll have zero healthcare deductions for a 12-week period. That was starting last week, really. So just we'll be counting that down. We're down to 11 weeks now. that's pretty exciting. We have several new employees. Looks like this would be, oops, stop it there. Aaron Jouer. And this would be Brendan Saunders. And Chad Garfield. And one more here, Wesley Williams. So cool. I'm happy to welcome everybody and all the new employees. And if your crew has one of these new people, just help them get established and greet them certainly, and get them introduced to the people and the way we do work and the way we stay safe. This week we're profiling some of the ECI maple sugars out there. A bunch of photos. This is Malcolm Forrester at the Valley View Farm in Georgia, and this is shared by Phil Forrester, of course. He's working hard collecting buckets. I guess that's the way they do it up there at the Valley View Farm. The old traditional way. That's very cool. And this looks very traditional too here at the Valley View Farm. Nice hot fire, wood fire under the arch, in the arch. And then we have other less established ways, which are somewhat traditional and work fine. This is Dave Forster and Families in Georgia, shared by Dave. And you see that's kind of, he's got a pan there that that cooks it off the syrup or the sap, cooks it down. Very cool. Looks very, very efficient. Wood fired again. We have Ben McKinney and Austin in Duxbury, and they are boiling over like a turkey fryer there. Get back up a bit. And they looks like they collect by buckets too. So very cool. We have the Keach family in Charlotte, and they do it on a Coleman stove with propane. And then, oh, here's my mom and my wife, and they're at Pumpkin Hill, drawing or canning right there, the evaporator in the background. And then we have a picture of Kyle Minoski firing the arch. And then this is Cold Ridge Maple and Walcott. Oh, I forgot to put this as Caden there. I forgot to put who that was, but that's Caden Boisenall. They're drawing off. And then there's a sunset view from Cold River, or sorry, Cold Ridge. And here's one. This is Rob Green's Sugar House, shared by Todd Nelson. Oops, gonna zoom in past it here. So that's Rob Green. I guess, oh, that must be a blower on the bottom. I couldn't figure it out at first, but I see some wood, so they must be wood fired too. At first I thought it was a burner, an oil burner. And here we have Matt and Braden. So again, collecting sap in their tractor, it looks like. And then there's pulling their little wagon, their little sap tank wagon. A little setup. And so if anyone else has pictures that they weren't able to get me this week, send them for next week and I'll include them. And the wellness program is a link here, so please check that out. I got a meeting later on with the wellness program. We want to keep momentum going. And the financial wellness series. This is it's week 3. I forgot to change that. So this week I'm talking about logging into the Newport web portal. So Newport provides all the information the current value of your funds and your plan, what you have invested. They have some ways of putting in goals in there and stuff like that. And it's unbelievably easy to get on. You know, sometimes you have to have a statement and you have to go back, but not in this case. No statements, no nothing. You just go into their website and Newport Group and log in. And if you're a new first-time user, it says put in your social security number and your birth date, and then you set up from there. So it's like, couldn't be easier. You don't need anything else. Then in the coming weeks, we're going to talk about some of the investment funds like the lifestyle, and then the 401k hardship loans, and we'll have some other topics. Weather outlook, we got some kind of milder weather with showers. It's cold, cooler in the evening, but not cold. It looks like the sugaring season is over. Looks like there's no more hard freezes in the foreseeable forecast here, and that means that probably won't be resetting. COVID policies, no changes in here. I know there's still ongoing positive. We haven't had one in a week or two, but it's out there, so be cautious. Spring mobilization for the project of the week. We're just talking about getting going, getting out there and getting started. Spring is here and the construction season is off and running, unless you're on a posted road, unfortunately. And several ECI projects have mobilized and are ramping up to full throttle. So this was shared by Phil Forrester out at Sharon. Got a load of Jersey barriers to set there. So it's one of the hazardous parts of these jobs is setting the traffic control systems up. So be careful out there, guys, and follow our thinking that Matt described earlier. Let's see, get down here a little further. This is a photo from Charlotte, from Ken Allard. And they are building a staging area to access the site. It's a railroad project, a culvert repair that involves kind of an extensive effort to get out to the repair. The repair itself is not a huge deal, but getting out there and getting set up is. Let's scroll down more here. I'll just bump down. There we go. So this is over at 40th and Allen. Guys are getting back there at those buildings. Those I don't recall who. I guess it's Champlain Housing Trust, I believe, owns them. We're working for J.A. Morrissey. This is a continuation of last year's work. Oops, okay. This is over in Essex on Heather Bush, and there's a culvert repair we're doing for the town of Essex. This has been an ongoing project throughout the winter, but finally putting the concrete into the locomotive jacking pad, and we'll do a full discussion on this whole project probably next week. I'm sure these guys are glad to see sunshine and blue sky out at the lake on the waterfront. It's never easy on the waterfront to be working in the winter. This is over at Camp Johnson, doing some new parking lot work. Oops, okay, down there. This was out front of the office. Get back up here a bit. Setting Jersey barriers on the Wilson Road Route 2 project. And this one this was shared by Phil again. This is definitely mobilization type work, driving a signpost for traffic control. Very fitting for the discussion this morning. Looks like they're fairly well protected just off the roadway. Got plenty of visibility there on their high vis rain gear. And here we're back to the Beta Technologies project, just some minor slab repairs inside a building. And let's see, whoops. Trying to advance. There we go. And some of the drilling, one of the drilling crews is out at Shelburne Shipyard again. That's what I got there from the photo archives. I got kind of a earlier spring, just a little later, May 2010 on Burrard Drive. This is the Velco and GMP substations down by our Burrard Drive property, just past that. You can see we're building a good sized modular block retaining wall, two of them, one for Green Mountain Power in the background, and then the foreground is the Velco project that you'll see out there now. It's been there since 2010. So that's what I got. Now I'll turn it back over to you. Have a good, safe day out there. Doesn't look too bad out. Looks like there could be rain throughout the day, but not at the moment.
Yeah, hopefully we see that sun this afternoon.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah. Thanks everybody
right.
for tuning in. If you watching a group setting, please send me over the attendance so I can capture it for this morning's little training session. Let's be safe today. Let's have a great day.
Watch that traffic.
Traffic.